Today on CityCast Las Vegas, Nevada current deputy editor April Corbin-Gurnis helps us break down whether or not Clark County has their priorities straight for 2027. Executive producer Layla Muhammad explains why so many Las Vegans are struggling with food insecurity, and we dive into Vegas's viral food scene. But before we get to all that, I'm sure you guys have noticed monsoon season has officially arrived. It's a bit late to the party. I guess it's making an entrance. I'm curious, April, are you like me where as soon as the clouds roll in for 3 days out of the year here in Vegas, you get seasonal depression that entire time?
What? No, I'm like the happiest I've ever been. I'm let's go play in the rain.
I hate the clouds.
Jump in this gutters. I am it's a rain dance. It's so much fun. I love it.
I wish I was like you, April. Every time it's even a little bit overcast, I'm in a grumpy mood, waking up on the wrong side of the bed, waiting for the sun to come out.
What's the opposite of sad? Seasonal affective disorder. I'm the opposite. Bring it on.
You're finally a break from sunny, beautiful, gorgeous days.
Yes. I'm the broken one, I guess.
That's funny. Well, no, I mean, look, you're not alone. Rob, our newsletter editor, he is pro clouds. He loves it. We did a bit of a poll on the staff here at CityCast. Jacob said he's got a 3-day limit. And so he's okay, give me the 3 days of the clouds. And then, all right, it's time for the sun to return, which I get. I mean, that's probably a little bit more reasonable, right?
Yeah. I couldn't live in the Pacific Northwest. I don't want it all the time, but we get it so rare that I celebrate it when it's here.
Yeah, it's different. I will say that. My sister lives in Portland. I could never do that. I'm a Vegas guy / West Coast sunny, through and through every day. I need that in my life. Yeah. Speaking of essentials, though, we're clearing out our swag closet here at CityCast Las Vegas. You guys might have heard us start to dive into the different things that we're giving away to our new members. And now we've got a CityCast Las Vegas tote that we're giving away, right, Layla?
Yeah, our tote says Neighbors Make Las Vegas, which I love. You'll be walking around the city and people will point out oh, are you a listener of CityCast Las Vegas? And it's a nice thing to just point out and find your fellow CityCasters around town. You have the option to pick from the tote or a pennant that I'm looking at on my wall right now that says,
choices are great.
I live here on purpose. Yeah. So this is like Jesse said, a mini swag closet clean out. Once these items are gone, they're gone. I want to shout out some new members too: Nestle T, Kate A, Kathleen T, and Monique A. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you guys get your pennant or your tote bag. We have one other item, I think, for the mini swag closet clean out. And Jesse, I'm hoping to see these new members at our member event coming up soon at Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that one. I've said it on the pod, this will be my first time doing one of the member events. I couldn't make it to the one that we did right when I started. So I'm fired up to meet a lot of our listeners and stuff. And so again, if you guys want the shot to grab some swag, but also meet us there at that event and join us for the trivia night, why not sign up now? Go to membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. Again, the link to that is in the show notes of the description, but I'll give it to you one more time. It's membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. And you got to act fast. Obviously, the membership event coming up soon here. But if you guys want the tote or the pennant, which I also dig, it's up in my office on one of the walls in here, you got to act fast because once the supplies are gone, they are gone for good. Like we said, we're cleaning out the closet here. It's our version of spring cleaning in the summer here at CityCast Las Vegas. So make sure you guys join. Take advantage of these great offers while they do last. In the meantime, though, it's Wednesday, August 12th, so let's get it rolling. I'm Jesse Merrick, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Southern Nevadans are the water smartest, and we've saved 200 billion gallons over the years. That's thanks to residents, HOAs, and businesses following watering schedules and replacing grass with water-smart landscaping. Golf courses are doing their part too. They operate within water budgets, and resorts do too, accounting for just 7% of the valley's water use. And even developers follow strict water-smart building codes too. So thank you for doing your part, and keep saving water where it matters most, outdoors. You can learn more at snwa.com. SNWA is a not-for-profit water agency. So kicking things off today, we are taking a way too early look at 2027, but Clark County is doing that. So we got to dive into it. That's one of the news of the week here. April, why are they looking so far ahead at 2027 in Clark County, and what are their priorities?
So look, the next legislative session is 6 months away, which I know, Jesse, seems like a really long time. It seems really far away. But in the world of politics and writing legislation, it's actually not so far along. So local
Wait,
governments...
you mean they take forever to get things done? I don't know about that.
Oh, shocker. Big if true, right? Yes. Yeah. So it takes a little while. And also the staff of the non-political, nonpartisan staff of the state legislature, there's only so many of them. It's a pretty small staff comparative. So they have to write all of the bills and put all the things together. It takes time, so they have to stagger them out and stuff.
I guess.
So
I'm
we
convinced
give them a
you
little
got
grace.
me. Yeah. Better to start early, I guess, when you got a short staff deal. So I get it, I guess.
So local governments, including Clark County, are right now preparing for the next session by determining sort of what bills they want to sponsor and what their sort of priorities are going to be. So we at the Nevada Current, we reported that Clark County has identified sort of 4 legislative priorities. And number one, well, actually, they didn't prioritize them, but I think I'm using my editorial judgment here to say number one.
We're stacking them in order, right? The juiciest ones first, yeah.
I'm going to rank them, yeah. So number one, they've determined that they want more transparency on utility fees that are charged by landlords. So the county has heard from renters who have utilities that are built into their leases that they're getting saddled with extra fees. So you use $30 of water, but your water bill, in quotation marks, is like $40, $50 to the landlord. So a scenario like that, right? So they would like the state to do something to address that. They sort of see it as a consumer protection. At this point, they've not released specifics about sort of like how that might be disclosed, but it's something that they'll figure out over the next, 6 months before the session starts. Okay. So that's one of them. The second sort of big hot topic item, I think, is mobile billboards. So if you were not aware, the sort of gaudy mobile billboards that drive around the Las Vegas Strip are regulated by the county. They have been since 2020 when they set a limit to having 100 of them on the roadways. So the county says that it needs the state to pass authorizing language that allows Metro to tow the illegal billboards. So that would help them crack down on it, because I guess it seems like right now you could just drive around illegally and you're not going to get caught, right?
I know you're in the middle of diving on the other ones, but I just want to butt in because this sounds crazy to me. Why is the illegal billboard thing like such a big deal to them? I don't know. To me, it seems like, why is this an issue down on the Strip? I don't understand. Help me explain. Help me understand this. Yeah,
no, we can get into that. Because Clark County's sort of battle over mobile billboards goes back for like years and years, like long time. Las Vegas people might remember in 2009, there was a big hubbub because Deja Vu Strip Club put a stripper mobile out there, which is basically like a mobile billboard. Think it was like a U-Haul, except the sides of the U-Haul were like plexiglass. So it was like a container that a woman and a pole were in.
That seems like a very Las Vegas Strip thing, yeah.
Very Las Vegas. Got
also
along.
True, yeah. A lot of rubbernecking going on there.
Yes. And so that was a big deal back in 2009. I remember that. Since then, it's been a lot of people going back and forth. There are a lot of, operators who want to enter that space because you'd think fairly low in terms of entry, right? So you get a truck or a billboard thing, and then you put it out there and you drive it around there. That's a fairly low cost entry to sort of starting a business. But people on the Strip sort of hate them because they say that they're distracting to drivers. The fancy ones that have like lights, and those lights are often brighter than the sort of ambient lights from the Strip even. So they're like, whoa, it's like blinding me. They call it a safety issue. They call it like the rubbernecking issue, where people are paying attention to the billboard instead and they're crashing. And also it's just the Las Vegas Strip has a limited amount of space, so that's just also clogging up traffic. There was a study a few years ago that said they drive 15 miles per hour slower than the rest of the traffic because like they want people to look at them. So they're causing, that they're just annoying, and people have very strong opinions about them.
Yeah. I've definitely seen one from, I'm thinking of like Area 15 or Omega Mart. That was very distracting. It was driving slow, and I couldn't help but look to see like, oh, what is that? And I could definitely see how this could be a traffic hazard. They're distracting drivers, and wanting to regulate that makes sense to me as a driver.
See, my thing though, like driving down the 15, if you go past the Legion Stadium, whatever the hell they have on the side of there, I'm distracted. I'm like, why aren't we regulating that? I'm not
Vegas
trying to be
is
that
full
guy.
of distractions.
That's true.
Like, you know, I've lived here for years, and every time I drive by the strip on the 15, I'm looking, like, you know what I mean? So like, I feel like we're just full of distractions. So to me, I don't know, it seems wild to concentrate on that on the strip. But sorry to butt in and kind of take the steering wheel and hard right here, you know, April. So what are some of the other things that they're prioritizing ahead of everything?
Those two, the transparency for utility fees and the mobile billboards, I think are the two biggest one that Las Vegans will will want to know about. The other two that they've identified are sort of more administrative on their end. They plan on backing a proposal that's related to the signing of death certificates so that physicians and a few medical professionals can sign death certificates instead of everything being signed by the coroner. And then the other one that they have identified is related to its public administrator's office. So that's the office that deals with probate and like what happens to people's stuff after they die. So again, those are like a little more niche and a little more boring, sort of the standard operations of government. But those are the four things that they've identified.
And that's just in Clark County. Are there any other priorities or bills that other legislators are talking about?
You know, every municipal government will have their own. Las Vegas will have, and I think different cities and counties and stuff get different numbers of bills that they're allowed to do. So we focused on Clark County. Las Vegas will have their own priorities, and Henderson will have theirs. I think North Las Vegas, Reno, they all get to sponsor a few bills that they will focus on. And the important thing to remember is that this doesn't necessarily mean that Clark County only wants to focus on this, because they are also concerned about other things, water issues, housing issues, things like that. But they know that bills related to those issues will be sponsored by state lawmakers who are still working on their bills, by committees, by state agencies, sort of all other people. So there's a lot going on, and the county pays attention to a lot of different things. So I don't want to make it sound like they only care about mobile billboards, but you know, this is something that is unique to them that they're going to be pushing. So
Yeah, but I'm curious, April, like historically, like how many of these early priorities actually like make it through? Like, do you have an idea on that of how much actually kind of push their way through?
You know, I've never crunched the numbers or anything, but for the most part, it can be mixed. I mean, a lot of the cities and counties tend to sponsor bills that they know will get something done. They have a limited amount of bills, so they don't want to waste it on something that's just for show or just to make a point, you know? They're very usually about efficiency and trying to get things done on a practical level. A lot of the time you do see success, especially with something like the public administrator's bill. Like that's a bill that is changing some regulation in this state that very few people care about, but just kind of helps things on the back end. You don't see a lot of resistance to things like that. Things like the mobile billboards, that probably, I would assume, get a lot more attention because people are sort of just naturally curious about that, and it makes for an easy TV reel and all of that or whatever. And
a little sizzle reel on the priorities.
Exactly.
Showing some cool billboards.
Yeah.
Yes, and you'll see people come out. Like if the legislature takes this up and has a hearing on it, you will see mobile billboard operators come out there and say, you are going to kill my business if you pass this, or you know what I mean? Like, so you'll see things like that get a lot of attention. Things like the utility thing, that's a little more when housing industry and renters and like landlords get involved, things tend to get really heated. You can see a lot of pushback from that, and like sort of the business side of things push back and saying, oh, you're trying to make us do more. So, you know, those things can be derailed pretty quickly just because it's a heavy lift and people decide it's not worth it sort of legislatively. So it kind of depends. I'm not in the business of predicting how these things will go, but we'll see. Yeah.
Hey there, it's Jesse from CityCast Las Vegas. You know from listening to this podcast that we love this city and we want it to be better. When we get fired up about paid parking downtown or the confusing stuff the LVCVA does with our tax dollars, it's because we live here too. We have skin in the game, so that's why I'm asking you to become a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor. You can join our membership program for $10 a month or $100 a year and invest directly in this team of locals, which means that we can cover the stories that affect us all. And your membership gets you some great perks, including access to our exclusive events. These are in-person events just for our CityCast Las Vegas neighbors. Things like a craft cocktail course at Ferguson's, or access to our neighbors-only holiday party we held last year at Crush Pad Wine Bar. And we're already planning our next members-only event. So join now so you don't miss it. Go to membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. Thank you, neighbor. All right, Layla, let's keep it rolling now and talk about food insecurity. It sounds like it's a bigger problem than many people realize here in the Valley, huh? What's going on?
Yeah, so this comes from the Review Journal. Last month, Feeding America, which is the national organization for 3 Square food banks across the country, they came out with their Map the Meal Gap report that shares local estimates of food insecurity across the country. That report found that just here in Southern Nevada, in 2024, there are nearly 400,000 food insecure residents, and that's up 20,000 people from the previous year. The 3 Square CEO Beth Martino told the Review Journal that this report takes 18 months to compile, which is why we're looking at numbers from 2024. But Martino also said that based on anecdotal indicators like gas prices, grocery prices, the state of the economy, and overall cost of living, there's a chance that these numbers have worsened since then. To give you a definition, food insecurity, according to the USDA, is a household level economic and social condition of limited or unsecure access to adequate food. So that can look like a number of things. That can look like, your coworker who you might not think is food insecure, but doesn't know exactly where their next meal is coming from, putting their meals on credit cards and not being able to adequately, feed their maybe family of 5. So food insecurity can look like a lot of things. And if you look at the map on Feeding America, it's actually really interesting how it breaks down. You can see the comparison from Nevada to the rest of the country, but there's a really cool breakdown on their website, feedingamerica.org.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, some of the things that stood out to me, you mentioned that they like to, that the Review Journal talked to Beth Martino and quoted her a lot. One of the things she said was that the twice weekly events that 3 Square does, as many as 500 vehicles and 100 pedestrians each day show up to these things. Like that to me seems kind of like a shocking number paired with the number of 400,000 people that are food insecure. April, I'm curious, when you hear those numbers, like what does that kind of bring about in you as it relates to food insecurity here in the Valley?
I think it just shows that it's a very big problem, and that, as Layla just said, that it doesn't often look like what people think. You always see people will take a photo of the line of cars and be like, why does somebody driving a Suburban need that? And it's true that you could be driving a nice SUV because you had a great, bartending job and you were doing really well 2 years ago, and then your hours got cut, or your kid got sick, or somebody wasn't able to work anymore because you got to take care of grandma. Things change and people's circumstances change. And we know Las Vegas is a transient place. We have a lot of people who are hustling and moving around and switching jobs and switching schools. There's so much going on.
A lot of gig economy stuff here as well, too.
A lot of gig economy, and you're seeing all of that. And that manifests itself in this. I think I want people to see those numbers and recognize it as a symptom to a larger problem of economic instability in general, and how it's difficult. And I'm hearing a lot of people say that it's really hard to find a job right now. And it was easier in 2024 when these numbers came from. So that's what I see when I look at that.
The thing too that is interesting, like to your point, harder to get a job. Obviously, we hear so much about inflation and transportation costs and all those things. But I look at that and I'm like, okay, that's something that everybody is dealing with all over the country right now, right? Just given the times. But I'm curious, Layla, like, is there anything here in Vegas maybe that we're doing poorly that has led to this increase, or somewhere where we really need to pick up the slack?
I think there's a number of things in Nevada. Like, our grocery prices are among the highest in the nation.
Really?
Like April said, we have gig workers that don't always know where their next gig is going to be. Nevada actually stepped up in the past when SNAP benefits lapsed during the government shutdown last year. So I think we're trying, but obviously we're not filling the gap. We have like a shortfall of $370 million in the budget for food. So
that's not a small number.
Yeah, and it's interesting because we did an interview with Beth Martino last year talking about the response from Governor Lombardo, and he said during the government shutdown and when a lot of people were turning towards food banks and food pantries, that he was thinking about or wasn't ruling out using emergency funds then. So I'm curious to see as this election cycle goes on, how he talks about his response to food insecurity and if that translates to, voters taking that to the polls and along with affordability, having that be something that, factors in the outcome of this upcoming election.
Yeah, I would imagine, right? Given that number, 400,000 people is a lot, and affordability in general, something everyone's got an eye on. April, that to me seems like something that would be top of mind for a lot of folks because that's a core need, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Affordability can mean so many things to a lot of people, but the lack of food is really high up there in
Mhm.
terms of that. And yeah, it'll definitely have an impact.
Something that the review, to put this in perspective, the Review Journal in their headline writes it as 1 in 6 Southern Nevadans are deemed food insecure. And something, again, that Martino says in the article is that the cost of transportation actually can be a barrier. One, the lack of transportation, someone might not have a car to drive to the grocery store. And, people can't always walk in 100-degree weather to a food pantry or a food bank. Yeah, exactly. And even if, people could be spending the money that they would otherwise use on food on their car notes. And these aren't just people, like we touched on a bit in the beginning. These people are, people who would otherwise might want to work, but can't for a number of reasons. They could be elderly, veterans, disabled. So we need to kind of broaden our outlook for our food insecure neighbors and, figure out how to meet them where they are.
No, I agree 100%. And obviously 3 Square is doing that, but what are some of the other resources for people out there? Whether that's people wanting to get involved or just where people that need food that are food insecure can actually get that.
Yeah, we actually have a really great episode on how to interact with food pantries. If you look on our archive on the website, you can point to that. But in listening also back to our episode with 3 Square CEO Beth Martino, she talks about how 3 Square can stretch a dollar and make that dollar really work for getting the most out of it to serve the most in our community. So really, whether it's donating your time, your money, some food to 3 Square, I think that's probably one of the best options. They provide to dozens of food pantries across the county. And so I think, 3 Square, there's also other organizations like Fifth Sun. A lot of religious institutions are doing their own food outreach. So just getting wherever you meet with your community, there's probably some kind of outreach being done where you are.
Yeah. I'd also add that shout out, I know people love to hate it, but Clark County School District does offer free lunch and breakfast for all of its students. No paperwork required. It is free at every school in the district, which is a lifesaver for many, many families, which is great. I think some schools, you'd have to look up your individual school and where your kids go, but some of them offer like supper, like after school meals also to kind of help supplement that. I think a few of them, there's some dinner programs. So schools are also a huge resource for that. And also, just in case, anybody is listening, I do just want to point out to people that we hear a lot about SNAP cuts, TANF cuts, and sort of these like social program cuts, but those programs are still running. Those programs are still accepting applications. You may qualify for them, and don't ever be too proud to receive that help because all of our taxpayer funds go to fund that program, and most people are on them for a short period of time. You're not on it forever. It is a short stopgap that can help you. So don't ever be too proud to do that. And then I have heard anyway that Nevada's process of signing on, you can do that pretty easily online and look up whether or not you qualify. You don't have to talk to anybody. It's an easy process that people should take advantage of, even if they're hearing all of the headlines about future cuts and there are problems going forward with it, that it's a very real issue that the state is going to have to reckon with probably next year. But in the meantime, don't starve yourself and your family. So those programs exist and they're great resources for people.
Hey there, it's Jesse from CityCast Las Vegas. You know from listening to this podcast that we love this city and we want it to be better. When we get fired up about paid parking downtown or the confusing stuff the LVCVA does with our tax dollars, it's because we live here too. We have skin in the game, so that's why I'm asking you to become a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor. You can join our membership program for $10 a month or $100 a year and invest directly in this team of locals, which means that we can cover the stories that affect us all. And your membership gets you some great perks, including access to our exclusive events. These are in-person events just for our CityCast Las Vegas neighbors. Things like a craft cocktail course at Ferguson's, or access to our neighbors-only holiday party we held last year at Crush Pad Wine Bar. And we're already planning our next members-only event. So join now so you don't miss it. Go to membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. Thank you, neighbor. All right, so look, guys, we talk about a lot of things here on CityCast Las Vegas. Today's one of those days where we just looked at our show. It's like, wait a second, we're going from talking about food insecurity to viral food moments here in Vegas. Yeah. It's not lost on us, so I don't want any people losing their minds on us in this one. But at the end of the day, too, Vegas is a city that has so many layers to it. One of those is food. So today, in kind of a hard pivot, we are talking about a viral moment on the Vegas food scene and how that kind of plays into our favorite restaurants around town. So just keep that in mind as we're talking about this. It's not lost on us, the transition here. Sometimes that happens, guys. Yeah, we did. So wanted to make sure we addressed that. But today we're talking about the Las Vegas Bakery. It's down in Ferguson's, in Fremont there. And they went viral recently for their stuffed conchas, which I think was cool. This was about a month ago or so, but Channel 13 kind of brought it back into the news, doing a story on them and telling the story of the woman who runs it. I thought that was really cool. Like, she actually worked in the service industry down on the Strip and hadn't been working for a while, but was trying to save up some money to find a way to pitch in with her family, and was able to stash some cash away, start to buy like used baking equipment, and then got to the point where she could open up this bakery. And, you know, one person did a video on their stuffed conchas, and since then people have been lining up out the door. If you don't get there early enough, you're not getting them, which I just think it's so cool. Yeah, like I think it's awesome seeing stuff like that, where people like dive into it and it just kind of takes hold, especially with a small mom and pop shop like this. And that's exactly what happened. Just kind of got us thinking, and it's part of a bigger discussion here about like viral food trends. And are there any recently that have captured your guys' attention that you're like, oh man, like I'm going here because I saw this online and I was like, this looks great. I gotta go and get this.
Yeah. Do you know the little desserts that look like fruit? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh no, April, you're about to break my heart. Are those not as good as they look?
No, they're all great. No, I haven't tried a lot of them. We have a great food scene, but sometimes we lag a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I think they're starting really to hit more of them here. I've had a little mango one. I want the little raspberry one. I want fruit. Little cakes and ice cream shaped like other fruit. That's take my money now.
Out here like Pokemon just trying to catch all the fruit-shaped desserts. I love that.
Yeah. Yes. I saw them recently. I went to H Mart actually for the first time.
I got some at H Mart, yes.
And I saw them at H Mart and I almost indulged, but now April, hearing you bring them up, I might have to go back and get them.
You have to. When I went to H Mart to go get a mango one that I saw online, there was like a 4-box limit. I was like, who's buying more of these? But I bought 4. But they were so good. You should go.
Nice.
That's great. Layla, what about you? What grabbed you when you saw it? What, you're like, I gotta get this. And did it live up to the actual hype once you got it?
Mine is more of an overall food trend. I went really hard into speakeasies. I needed to go to everyone. I wanted to just like pop in and see them all. I went to Mas Por Favor again, and I just feel like the vibes were there. It was cool. They were playing good music. The drinks were good. But I feel like the quality of the food like wasn't there. And it was more about the vibes and the speakeasy of it all. So I feel like speakeasies are a trend for me that I went hard on that, I feel like is fading out for me.
Yeah, they spent all their money on the drug tunnel instead of the food. That must have been what it was, right? And the fake cocaine.
Still great drinks, great music. Like I said, they had a really fun DJ. Yeah. But I mean, after a long night at Area 15, we went to a lot of spots there. You wanted some really good food, and it just didn't meet me there I wanted it to.
No, I get that. I went there and it was cool. Like I didn't eat, so I don't have a comment on the food or anything, but the drinks were great. And I did. The vibe was cool. Like it was packed. It was on I want to say it was a Thursday or a Friday when I went. This was like a couple of years ago, but like really cool spot. I love the idea. It is unique. And that one grabbed me too. When you see, the influencers out there like filming that they're going through like the fake drug tunnel door, and everything. Yeah. Like I was just like, this is really creative. That was just a cool way to kind of go about doing it.
Yeah. And I love most of the speakeasies around town, but it's that second visit that you go back and you're like, oh, was this as cool as I thought it was the first time?
Lost the allure of the first one. For me, I get caught up on some of them lately. I think we talked about it on the show. Like I've been on a big coffee kick trying to find all the different spots around town. So that typically gets me. But you guys that have been listening heard me mention this on our guide of the month. I think 2 months ago, Public Us posted a picture of their banana brownie ganache croissant. Like, ooh. I am a croissant fiend. I've mentioned it. And when I saw that, I just was like, I have to have this. And for some reason, it took me 2 weeks to satisfy that I have to have this. Because I will say this, I went one time and they didn't have it and I was pissed. So like I went back and it was there and I'm like, all right, I'm doing this. And it lived up to the hype. It was insane. Over the top sweet, which I'm not like the biggest, like it needs to be sweet guy. But God, that one was good. And then a couple of years ago, this one just popped in my head as we were getting ready for the show this morning, was a bacon-wrapped California burrito from Sayulitas. My buddy George, who runs Vegas Must Try, he did a video on it. And my nephew was coming into town for spring break a few years ago, and he saw the video and sent it to me. They had that and like some loaded fries that are just, stacked. Probably thing weighs like 10, 15 pounds of food. And my nephew was like, well, we got to go there. I tried some of his. It was good. But to be honest, the bacon wrap Cali burrito, that thing did it for me. I was like, man, why have we not been wrapping burritos in bacon more often?
Sounds like a lot. Sounds heavy.
Oh, big time.
Sounds delicious. Bacon, more bacon's always a good choice.
So good. Couldn't recommend it enough. Just know that you're going to be out of commission for like the next 24 hours because you're just going to be in a food coma. But that one was awesome. And it just kind of too, though, like, because I feel like Vegas as a whole is so set up for like the foodie scene and just viral moments and things like that because we're constantly reinventing ourselves. There's always new restaurants opening. We have the Strip. We have all the awesome off-strip places. Chinatown obviously cranks them out like crazy. The Arts District is growing. We have Fremont down even in the Southwest and Spring Valley. It just seems like it never ends. And when you're sitting there trying to figure out, okay, where are we going to go out to dinner tonight? Like, it's an endeavor of like an hour to figure it out if you don't know exactly what you want. So I need some help here, guys. Like, how do you beat this decision fatigue when you're overwhelmed with all the different food choices around town?
I keep a list. And the first thing I have to do is really sit and think, what am I in the mood for? If I'm in the mood for tacos, then that limits, down my list. I'm not going to go to the French restaurant that I've been wanting to try or the sub shop that I've been wanting to try. I'm going to pick from my taco restaurants. So have a list so you remember everything you want to go to and really think about like what you're in the mood for and what you want to try that night. And then switch it up the next night if you're going somewhere different.
This is not a considerate option for your friends, but I find, shout out to my friend Jorge, because I just text him and say, I want to go to a taco place. Where do I need to go? Find yourself a foodie, befriend them, and ask them for the last decade where you should go. Because I'm very busy. I don't get to keep up with the news on my own. So I just have friends that do. And I say, hey, Layla, tell me about this place.
It's always good to have that one friend who like, okay, this person's gonna have a rec for me if I give them like
exactly.
a vibe.
They'll test it out. You guys test it out, and I just answer my text when I ask you for recommendations.
We got you, April. We got you.
Since I joined CityCast, my new go-tos now have been Jason Harris when we've had him on the pod recently. He's done a great job throwing some of them out there. But also to my little cheat, and you guys that are listening probably know this, just read the newsletter. Rob always brings the heat with different food recommendations. He got me on Donebury. I was like trying to think like, man, I want to go somewhere cool this week. Guess what? He had dropped his like list of the best new restaurant openings so far in 2026. And I was like,
There
I'm
it
in.
is.
So like we kind of get you guys covered there too. So I want to make sure we pat ourselves on the back there. But it is easy.
I sent that list to a friend and they were like, oh, Layla, we picked like a great
Yeah.
restaurant off this list. Thank you so much. So
No,
definitely
yeah.
follow our newsletter. Rob always drops some food recs and some gems pretty much weekly.
It is, yeah. But we wanted to make sure we let you guys know that you're not alone with the decision fatigue. Even us here at CityCast, who are paid to have the insider tips, sometimes those insider tips rattle around in our brain for hours on end before we pick something. But hopefully that'll help you do it when you guys come around to figure it out. In the meantime, though, guys, now as we continue to talk about all this stuff, I think I'm hungry. That banana brownie ganache croissant is calling my name. I might have to run to Public Us. I don't know. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jesse.
Coming up, I'm chatting with Holly Erker from IS Luxury about the organizations and advocates fighting to preserve Las Vegas history and what it means for the city's neighborhoods and vintage homes. Hey there, it's Jesse here with Holly Erker, luxury real estate advisor over at IS Luxury. Holly, welcome back to CityCast. I love these interviews each and every time we do them. This is going to be a fun one because look, like Vegas has a reputation, you know, being known as a city that likes to tear things down and call them like old and just build brand new stuff and move along. So what's actually being done from a real estate perspective to kind of push back against stuff like that?
There really is a bigger movement happening here, and it's larger than what most of us realize. So the Centennial Commission, if you've seen the Las Vegas license plates, there's funding from that every year that's provided to organizations throughout the city that work towards the historic designation and preservation. But to your question specifically on the real estate fund or side of it, since 2003, we started with one historically designated neighborhood, and now we're up to three, with obviously Paradise Palms being the most current one, representing almost 1,000 homes. That's big growth in about 20 years for the historical protection of the residential areas.
Now, with those, historic designations and protections thrown in there, what exactly does that mean, for the people who actually own the homes down there now or want to potentially buy them in the future?
Buyers ask this, and it doesn't affect materials, paint color, or landscaping. Really what it comes down to is the structural support of the house itself. When somebody goes to do a big renovation on the exterior of the property, it kind of gets flagged at the permitting process and then sends it down to review for the city's preservation commission. We want to preserve the roof lines. We don't want to add any second story additions to them.
There's some great homes, even like in my neighborhood, there's some Hugh Taylor homes, that he designed, where there's been a couple where people have put like a gigantic box on the top and you're just like, no, like why did you do that? So like the more work that we get done to stop that, I think is great. But it's not just on the real estate side as well. I mean, look, we've got great places like the Neon Museum and the Mob Museum, two of my favorite museums in town. I'm curious, like from your side of things in an industry that you're in, why are those institutions so important just for like preserving Vegas's history, but its story as well of like vintage Vegas, I guess, more than anything?
What they're proving is that just because a building or a sign isn't currently being used for what it was purposely or initially intended for, it doesn't make it archaic, but it can be shifted for how it's used now. The Neon Museum has preserved 250 signs. They also have a Vegas Voices program that they have collected over 200 recorded interviews of people that have very personal stories tied to those signs. Somebody's grandmother who worked at the Tropicana for 35 years and raised her children while working there. Those type of documented stories are being recorded and collected. As the museum grows, they're also collecting artifacts that all tied back into the history of that particular sign, which affects entertainment, food and beverage, shows. So it's the base of the story is the sign, but there's so much more to tell about that. As we all know, the Mob Museum hosts the previous post office and the courthouse, and it's one of the city's oldest buildings, and it's a very thriving museum. Like, how beautiful is that?
Oh, yeah.
Mayor Oscar Goodman championed the reservation and preservation of the property and added big square footage for exhibit space. The building itself won the Historic Preservation Award and the Mayor's Urban Design Symposium Award for the reuse of that property. And I think that can teach so many other businesses out there, all these vintage wedding chapels down Wedding Chapel Row and Lawyers Row of these beautiful 1940s Tudor's home. It just shows you that it's very relevant to keep the buildings, work with them that I've always advocated for, and reuse them. That just shows you that it works.
for anybody in general that just wants to get into the mix and get more connected to Vegas preservation and kind of do their part, whether that's like owning a vintage home or just they love the history and they want to get more involved and learn more about that. What resources do they have and what should they know about like where they can go to get more information to get involved?
Honestly, where I learned and studied vintage Vegas and became so familiar with these communities was through Nevada Preservation's programming. They have a new event coming up next month called Cocktails and True Tales.
I'm so excited for this one.
Isn't this cool?
We just taped our guide to the month, and that was my pick for the event of the month of August. So I'm so fired up for that one because I can't wait to hear the stories of these people that were like the early adopters in downtown. That event, August 21st, right, is the date on that one. Make sure you guys check it out. You'll probably see me there.
It is so awesome. You just hear how downtown and things like First Friday have evolved over 20 years.
Yeah.
Also, later in September, they're launching a new program called First Saturday, and they're going to be highlighting new communities throughout the downtown area on a monthly basis. In the downtown area, there's 2 other events that they host kind of throughout the year in conjunction with their annual programming called Preservation 101. And then they host another programming called Old Home 911, a vintage home restoration. Other fantastic resources is the UNLV Special Collection Vault. You're provided like white gloves to go through these old magazines if you want to research the builder, the floor plans, what the homes originally looked like. They also archive a ton of oral history.
That's cool. For the folks that want to get more info, how do they get in touch with you?
We can go directly to my website at hollierker.com or through the IS Luxury website.
You are definitely one of those great, incredible resources. So you don't have to pat yourself on the back to say that. I will for you. So again, guys, if you want to hit her up, go to isluxury.com and reach out to Holly. As always, thank you so much for listening to CityCast Las Vegas.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our free morning newsletter as well. And don't forget, you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm/Las Vegas. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Until then, though, take care.